Have you ever poured your heart out to God and heard nothing back? You prayed with everything in you. You fasted. You cried out in the middle of the night. And the only answer you received was silence. Let me tell you something. That silence isn't what you think it is. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 divine reasons God remains silent during your deepest pain. And the 5th reason will change everything you thought you knew about unanswered prayer. Stay until the end. God's silence is not his absence. It's not punishment. It's not abandonment. It's not evidence that your prayers don't matter. When you understand what's really happening in the silence, everything shifts. Let's walk through the 5 divine purposes behind God's quietest seasons. Number 1, the silence that teaches faith. When God spoke constantly, you followed his voice. But following a voice isn't the same as trusting the one who spoke. You prayed, God, should I take this job? Should I move? Should I stay? And he answered, every time, until he didn't. Not because he stopped caring, but because it was time to trust what he'd already placed inside you. Remember when Peter walked on water? Jesus didn't give him step-by-step instructions. He just said, come. And Peter had to take the first step in faith, not certainty. God's silence is teaching you to walk by faith, not by feelings. To trust his character when you can't trace his hand. The Israelites had a cloud by day and fire by night. But when they entered the promised land, the cloud disappeared. Not because God left, but because he taught them enough. Your silence isn't abandonment. It's graduation. Number 2, the silence that protects your calling. Joseph made a critical mistake. He shared his dream too early with the wrong people. His brothers threw him in a pit, not because the dream was wrong, but because the timing was. When God plants something significant in you, he doesn't shout it from the rooftops. He guards it in silence. You've been praying for clarity about your purpose, for confirmation, for a sign. And God has been silent. Not because your calling isn't real, but because loose lips destroy divine assignments before they're ready. Right now, in the silence, God is protecting you from people who would discourage what they don't understand, your own immaturity that would corrupt it, enemy forces that would abort it before birth. Mary didn't announce her pregnancy until it was undeniable. David was anointed king years before anyone knew. Your silent season is your incubation season. God is keeping your calling in the womb until it's strong enough to survive outside. Number 3, the silence that builds character. Every great person in the Bible had a silent season before their public season. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, 40 years of silence before the burning bush. David was anointed at 17 but didn't become king until 30. 13 years of caves, running, hiding, waiting. Paul disappeared for 3 years after his conversion. 3 years in Arabia where God rebuilt him from scratch. Why? Because the gift you're called to carry requires a character strong enough to hold it. You've been asking God, when will you use me? When will my breakthrough come? But God is asking, are you ready? Is your character built? Will you steward this or will it destroy you? The silent seasons are the sculpting seasons. Every unanswered prayer is God's chisel, removing what doesn't belong. Every closed door is removing pride. Every delay is removing impatience. Every disappointment is removing self-reliance. It hurts. I know it hurts. But Michelangelo didn't create David by adding to the stone. He created it by removing everything that wasn't David. God's silence isn't stalling you, it's shaping you. Number 4, the silence that deepens intimacy. Be honest. How many of your prayers have been asking God for things? Healing, breakthrough, provision, direction, deliverance. Nothing wrong with asking. Jesus taught us to ask. But what happens when God stops answering requests and starts demanding relationship? You wanted a miracle. God wanted you. You wanted intervention. God wanted intimacy. You wanted him to speak. God wanted you to sit. Job 42:5. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Job knew about God for decades, but it took the silent suffering for him to truly know God. There's a level of intimacy that can only be reached when there's nothing left but Him. No miracles to chase, no signs to follow, no voices to hear, just Him and you in the silence. This is where love matures. Infatuation needs constant words. Mature love can sit in silence and still feel connected. God's silence is inviting you deeper than answers. He's inviting you to Himself. Number 5. The silence before the roar. This is the one you've been waiting for. Right before God moves in power, there's always a silence. Genesis 1. The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. Silence, darkness, nothing. And then God said, "Let there be light." 1 Kings 19. Elijah was in the cave. God wasn't in the earthquake, wasn't in the fire, wasn't in the wind. He was in the still small voice after the silence. Right now you're in that silence. The storm has passed, the fire has died out, the earthquake has settled, and you're wondering, did I miss God? Number, you're standing in the sacred pause before the greatest chapter of your life begins. God doesn't waste silence. He weaponizes it. Every biblical giant who experienced breakthrough had a silent season immediately before. Jesus in the wilderness 40 days before his ministry exploded. Joseph in prison before the palace. Esther's 12 months of preparation before saving a nation. Your silence isn't the end of your story, it's the final breath before God roars on your behalf. So if you're in the silence right now, if you feel forgotten, if your prayers feel like they're hitting the ceiling, and remember this, God has not forgotten you. He's not punishing you. He's not distant. He's preparing you, protecting you, shaping you, drawing you deeper, positioning you for a breakthrough so powerful that everyone will see it came from Him and Him alone. Every tear you've cried in silence, He's counted them. Every prayer He hasn't answered yet, He's storing them. Every night you've wrestled in the dark, He's been wrestling with you. The silence isn't His absence. It's His loudest declaration that something greater is coming.